Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly break down Real Madrid's draw at Villarreal, see where Madrid struggled and how they were able to earn a valuable point when it looked like they were going to drop another three. But before we do that, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. But now, let's get to the starting lineups. We look at Villarreal, more of a 4-4-2, and Cambi and Moreno up front. Out in the wider areas, we went with Gomez and Samu, and in midfield, Iborra and Santi Cazorla. Then we moved to Real Madrid, 4-4-2 as well. Benzema and Jovic up front. Out in the wider areas, Bale and Lucas Vasquez, and in midfield, Toni Kroos and Casemiro. So now, let's get to the first half, see how both sides look to approach the game, and where Real Madrid encountered their strengths and weaknesses. So when we break down Real Madrid against Villarreal, the key note here was that both sides were playing in a 4-4-2. So this makes it easier for Villarreal to try and negate Real Madrid's threat by going man-v-man in midfield and across the pitch with their pressing. And that's what they did in the opening stages of the match. They obviously looked to press from the front, closing down markers there. And when they closed down in the wider areas, they had Cazorla and Iborra stepping to Toni Kroos and Casemiro. They were closing quickly. Real Madrid were struggling to build out of the back. And in the earlier stages, they did have the better chances. And you can see what they were trying to do. Whereas Real, although they did look to close in the similar fashion, what happened was that they were slower to their man. And we see one example in particular where we have the left back here in Quintilla playing a pass in between Casemiro and Lucas Vasquez. You have Carvajal pulled out by Moy Gomez, and the ball goes into Moreno, darting into that space in the left half space. And when he goes at Varane, he cuts outfield and he drags a shot wide. But it just goes to show how they were getting time on the ball to make those movements, but that was short-lived. However, they were able to go ahead, and that was down to Ramos being pressed by Moreno, and Moreno dispossessed him. Driving forward, you have Varane who has to come across. You have Carvajal out of position for where Cambi is. And what happens there is that he plays it into a Cambi who fires a shot on goal that Courtois saves, but he pushes it into the path of Moreno to put them up ahead. Now this leaves Villarreal in a great position. They're able to drop off a bit deeper, still looking to press from the front, still having the forwards in Cambi and Moreno step to Varane and Sergio Ramos, but they're able to drop off a bit deeper and looking to pull Real Madrid forward so that they can hit them on the counterattack. Madrid had their own issues, and some of it looked stylistic and based on the fact that they had Benzema and Jovic occupying the center backs. They had Bale and Lucas Vasquez extremely wide, and they weren't getting involved. We've seen this from Bale more so against Valladolid, and the difference between his performance against Valladolid and Celta Vigo is that obviously they were able to play on the counterattack against Celta Vigo, but we saw Bale more central, looking to get into the box, looking to get on the end of crosses. Here, he was just out wide, holding the width. On occasions, he was coming a bit narrow, but not as involved in the build-up play, nor was Benzema for the opening half hour. So that was a big problem for them. So you have the wider players marked out of the game, and then you have Bale and Vasquez wide. This puts heavy emphasis on Kroos and Casemiro to make things happen. They were doing a good job in midfield as the game progressed. They were dropping off. As Villarreal dropped off, what happened was that they would pick up the ball in deeper positions to either side of the forwards, and that would allow the fullbacks to push forward, and that was how they were looking to go about things. Casemiro in particular was very good, finding space beyond Iborra, beyond Cazorla, clipping balls out to the wider areas, but not really testing Fernandes, and that was the big problem here for Real Madrid. How are they able to test Fernandes? Well, there were different ways that they tried to go about it. You had Benzema obviously looking to drift out wide and link play with teammates, but that wasn't happening in the first half a lot. And what we ended up seeing was Jovic finding space between the lines to get on the ball and then running at goal. We saw Varane step into a challenge and then find him in between Iborra and in between Cazorla to get the ball, turn and break forward where perhaps he could slide to Vasquez, but he cuts in, fires a shot inches wide. There's another opportunity where you saw Mendy find Jovic dropping off to the right of Iborra, able to turn it on him, drive at goal, but you had Mario come across to intercept that ball. What you end up seeing there from Jovic, obviously, is that if Benzema drifts out into spaces, you can have at least a central figure around the box if Bale isn't breaking there. But there wasn't really any combinations between those two in particular. And another aspect that we could look at was the fact that once Madrid kind of settled into the game, you had Cruz and Casemiro picking up the ball and looking to spread play. There was one example in particular that involves both. You see Cruz drop off, clip a diagonal ball out to Lucas Vasquez, and here he drags out Quintilla and Moy Gomez, and as he drags them out, he drops it off to Carvajal. Carvajal delivers a cross into the box, and you have Casemiro breaking to the far post beyond Mario, to not an effort, inches wide of the net. He should connect there, but unable to make the difference. So when you see how Madrid are going about things, obviously, there was one time where they were pressed on the counterattack, but they struggled to create chances. This has been their big thing throughout the season and throughout last season, breaking down teams that sit off a bit deeper. But here, Villarreal's willingness to press from the front led to their downfall and allowed Real Madrid back into the game prior to halftime. You have Nkambi stepping to Varane, and he slides the ball out to Carvajal, which pulls out Gomez, and he plays it to Vasquez, dropping off deeper, and that pulls out Quintilla. But Carvajal makes the narrow run beyond Gomez, and he gets the ball back, and this time he slides it in between Cazorla coming across and Gomez for Jovic dropping off and pulling out Torres, and then he gets the ball back and pokes it beyond Iborra, nutmegs him, and it ends up falling to Cruz, who slides the ball out to Benzema, drifting out to the left-hand side. You have Bale making a run in behind Mario, and then Benzema cuts in and fires a shot off the near post and out. Just like that, quick passing moves, pass and go, and that allows Real Madrid to bypass Villarreal's press. It took them a while, but that's how they were able to create that chance. And shortly after that, we get Bale's equalizer. Again, this time stems from a similar pattern that we saw from Real Madrid. Cruz dropping off Moreno, clipping the diagonal out to Carvajal, who comes across Gomez, and he ends up sliding it to Casemiro, who pokes the ball beyond Iborra for Jovic, dropping off ahead of Torres to pull him out. But what happens here is that he back heels the ball beyond Torres and beyond Quintilla for Carvajal, who made the run beyond Gomez and into that right half space. And what happens there is that he locates Bale running across Albiol and Benzema running across Mario, and his ball through the 6-yard box sees Bale tap it in from point blank range. Real Madrid struggled in the early stages of that first half, and they also struggled to create chances, but there were little avenues that they could find. One, bypassing the press, having Cruz and Casemiro drop off a bit deeper, the varied movement of Benzema and Jovic. It wasn't pretty, but they're able to go into halftime tied 1-1. So when we look to the second half, we've seen improved press from Villarreal, but Real Madrid did a better job coping with it through Varane and through Casemiro, with Varane often igniting the moves. We look to one in particular where he's pressed by Nkambi, and he ends up sliding the ball to Casemiro, dropping off, and Casemiro pulls out Iborra, but instantly slides the ball out to Jovic, who does drag out Torres. And when he drags out Torres, he drops the ball back into Carvajal, who forces Gomez out. But what happens here is that we see Casemiro run off Iborra into that right channel to get onto the ball. It's pivotal because we see them bypass the press, which they were struggling to do in the opening stages of the first half when Villarreal's energy levels were high, and we see Casemiro again playing a key role, not only defensively, but helping Real Madrid push forward. Shortly after that, we saw Tyrrell come on for Samu to move out to the left-hand side, but that didn't change things. Again, Nkambi pressing Varane, and he slides the ball out to Vasquez, across Ontiveros, who pulls out Quintilla, and we also see Benzema this time dropping out to pull off Torres. Benzema instantly drops off and then spins off Torres, and we end up seeing Vasquez pull the ball back to Casemiro, free to clip the ball into the path of Benzema in the right channel. His first cross is blocked, but he ends up pulling the ball back to Cazorla, who did drop off and not track the run of Cruz, and Cruz was able to force Fernandez into a a save. That again now called for another change from Villarreal. Cazorla just a bit lacking in midfield with Iborra, and Real Madrid were gaining control of the game, so they pushed Cazorla higher, brought on Anguissa, and sacrificed Nkambe. So now Moreno was up front. What happened there was that now they were coping better because Anguissa offered another shield of protection to the back four, and Zidane brought on Modric. Bringing on Modric now, they moved to more of a 4-3-3. And what happens there is that you have Bale out on the left, Vasquez on the right, and now they were able to cope much better with that threat. Modric offering more control, another creative outlet, and they were pressing a bit differently. Benzema stepping to one center back, the spare shuttler stepping out to the next center back, and we saw them drop off into more of a 4-5-1 without the ball. And now, although Villarreal were better equipped to deal with Real Madrid in the center of the pitch, they were lacking up front as well. Moreno not offering much of a physical presence to Ramos or offering one to Varane, so they brought on Carlos Bacca for Cazorla. You have the midfield of Iborra and Anguissa, and you have Moreno playing off Bacca, and that saw also Vinicius take off Lucas Vasquez and push Bale out to the right with Vinicius on the left. Instantly after that change, we see a build up to the goal, and Bacca does play a key factor to it. It's a throw-in that falls to Iborra, and he ends up dragging out Toni Kroos initially, and when he drags out Kroos, he's able to slide the ball to Anguissa, who drags out Modric, and when he drags those two out, now the split is available for Moreno, who does drop off into that space with Casemiro coming to him a bit late, and now he slides the ball beyond Vinicius into the path of Mario pushing forward, and his cross to the near post, he's Bacca attack it with Varane. That's something you wouldn't get if Bacca wasn't on the field, and it pushes the ball out to the left-hand side for Ontiveros, who locates his runner, taking a dash into the 6-yard box, and that's how they're able to get the second goal there. They go up 2-1, and now we have to see Real Madrid retreat and make a few changes. Mendy was starting to lose the battle down that left-hand side. You brought on Valverde for Toni Kroos, but Real Madrid were still able to create chances and find the equalizer. And similar to previous games that we've seen this season, it stems from transitional play rather than breaking down a team that sits a bit deeper and is organized. The first chance they do get, we see Gomez pressed by Benzema, and his clearance falls from his own zone, falls to Mendy, who drops it back to Benzema, and he switches the play out to Carvajal, who attracts Ontiveros and Quintilla. And when he attracts them, what ends up happening is that he pulls the ball back to Luka Modric, who sweeps his first-time effort on goal that Fernandes pushes away. Great warning sign, Benzema switching play, Modric being involved, and shortly after that, they get the equalizer. And it just stems from Mendy winning his challenge over Moreno, and it falls into the path of Albiol, who nods it into Iborra, who flicks it onto Ontiveros, who's narrow in midfield, but he's pressed by Modric, and Modric now is able to run at the back four. You have Vinicius making a darting run in between Albiol and the right back, and what happens here in Mario, and what happens here is that now he's able to slide the ball out to Bale, and Bale's able to cut in on his two markers in Quintilla and in Ontiveros to slide his effort at the near post past the keeper. When we break down the game as a whole, the same issues with Real Madrid, able to attack in transition and bypass teams that don't press them tightly for the duration of the 90 minutes. But on the flip side, mental lapses and defensive lapses when they don't have the ball. Ramos shouldn't make that mistake. They should be marking tighter, following a attacking substitution from the opposition, and now they drop more points. But let me know what you guys think. Can Real Madrid challenge for La Liga or the Champions League this season? And will Villarreal finish in the top half of La Liga? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.